How can you facilitate interactive lessons using IRC geometry application? Similar to IRC Space and IRC Geography, there are two options for you to do so, either through the web-based interface or from your mobile device. Your students can also join in your activities from their mobile devices by downloading and launching the application. That a mobile version of the application works also together with markers for geometry application. You can either download building blocks, where your students can first cut out and assemble 4 different building blocks as a traditional activity that they can perform. Once those blocks are assembled, they would be able to put them together a specific shape and point the camera of the mobile device towards the shape, and then the shape will come to life. Or you can also download and print and distribute ready-to-use shapes to your students, and then they would be able to interact with the mobile version of a geometry application by pointing the camera of their device to ready-to-use marker, and they would be able to see the 3-dimensional shapes, fractions, and additional content that is available as part of application. First, we'll go through the web-based interface of the application, so you can also see how you can facilitate the interactive lessons where your students will join your activity. At the same time, I'll share the double screen so you can see the teacher view and the student view of how things will work. The concept of beginning the class is the same in all types of applications. You have either a code that you can share with your students and they can join from their mobile devices, or a link that you can copy and share with your students. Your students will click on the link or copy paste it in their browser, and that's how they will enter the activity room. Your students will be asked to enter the nickname to join the class, and once they've done so, they will enter the waiting screen. As a teacher, you can see the number of students connected. Once all the students have joined in, you can hide the panel and you can select the content you would like students to explore. As part of the geometry application, there are multiple content available. You can start with shapes and let your students explore different type of 3D shapes. You can ask your students to select the shape that you've prepared for them, and they have to manually click on it, and then they will have the opportunity to interact with those shapes. 2-dimensional way of those shapes, or come back to 3-dimensional version, explore edge, fractions, bases, cross-section mode, zooming in, zooming out. The same applies to other type of shapes. If you're looking for some ideas on how you can integrate this activity as part of your curriculum, you can view lesson activity plans specifically for IRC Geometry and Math, and you will have a long list of different suggestions from teachers on how they use these augmented reality applications to add on value to their classroom and engage students in learning. You can also go back home, and as you see that the screen for students immediately changed back to the waiting screen. So that means that you're ready to change the activity and the students will be patiently waiting for you to assign a new one. You can assign students a test, and you can see that here the test will be assigned individually to students. They would be able to perform that, and you also would see all the results and the performance in this activity block. It also will be available in your activity log, so you can see how many students have joined your activity, which activities you've assigned, and also see students' performance. There are also 2 gamification activities available. One of them is shapes. Once again, you assign it to the class, and students would be able to manipulate with different shapes and perform the activity. As you can see, this is also an individual task for students, and it has a gamification concept with different levels and the number of lives that your students will have. 3 hard means that they can make 3 mistakes. Once those 3 mistakes are made, then the game is over and they can start again. But the levels are also getting harder and harder as the students go along. Another activity that is available as part of the collaboration mode here is a math gamification activity where students can learn about additions, subtractions, etc. And they can work in teams, meaning multiple students can join in this activity. They will be broken down into teams of 3 to 4 people, and once the class is assigned, they would be able to interact. In this screen you can see how many people will be in the team, and once the student clicks on join the activity, they will be asked to perform a specific gamification activity. They can drag and drop the objects, so the main focus here is for students to do the subtraction and calculate 1 plus 7 is 8, and it's a square based, so they have to find number 8 with a square based object and then drag and drop it in the correct place. As this game is done in the multi-user interface, that means that the students can either have a competitive environment to see who is going to be putting more objects in and doing the calculations faster, or you can also assign a different activity, less competitive, and assign something in lines that Laura, you will be responsible only to put the numbers in a square-based places, and let's say Mark will be responsible only for circle-based. This way you would be able to avoid the competition and provide a more fair environment for every student to be able to participate. Once you've completed the activity, you can go back to activity logs in your dashboard, and you will see how many students have performed this specific activity that was assigned for the geometry lesson, how many different tasks you have assigned to your students, and their performance.